Hey y'all, what's good? Welcome to another lovely video cast, vlog cast, whatever you want to call it up in here right now. Those are on YouTube, appreciate y'all standing by. We had a few technical difficulties, but we good in the hood now. So we up and running. We gonna run up here and talk about this presidential debate. And I was contemplating earlier today if I should talk to politicos about this or people that are politically involved. But I decided, you know what? We keep talking about and hearing from the politicos and the political people and all this stuff. And I want to actually talk to, you know what I mean? I think normal people that aren't really like completely hyper partisan in this. And I wanted to talk to these folks and see what their take was on the presidential debate and what their takeaways from it was, et cetera. And talk about the issues that were brought up during this debate. So we're just going to get right into it real quick. I got a special guest with me today. Some of you know her, some of you don't. But I found her opinions to be very unbiased to a point, and kind of pointed out basically common sense that everybody should be pointing out during all of this, because we're not going to get the truth because of the partisan hacks on both sides, right, of this whole thing, and everybody just want to hold on to the camp and the stagecoach like they do in the Wild West, right? So let me go ahead and introduce Miss Ashley here to the stream here. Good evening, ma'am. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Let's get into it. What did you think about the silly debate last night? What did you think about what was going on there?
Well, wow. And that was awful. To be
Awful,
nice.
you're being nice.
It was a race to see who could do the worst. So that's my opinion as far as that goes.
Okay. Who do you think there was any winners or losers in all of this?
On different areas.
Okay.
Connecting with people, I think Joe Biden had a few moments. He had a few moments, and people say that emotional pandering doesn't do anything, but you have people sitting at home that cannot go and see their grandparents. They can't go and see their grandma that died from COVID. Like, that touches them. I mean,
right.
It does. And then it's such a mess. It really was. I don't know.
So let me ask you, did you find anything redeeming about Trump during all of this?
I think Trump was put in a very tough position. I believe that the questions were based on what happened during his presidency and kind of a little push to the bias side against him. But I feel like there could have been more time to answer the questions, because this is his time that he gets to talk to the American people. And usually it's the media, and they're not completely honest. And this was his time. And I think the reason why he was interrupting Joe Biden so much, because first of all, Biden was lying. Like, everybody knew that. And second of all, he never got to defend his reasoning or anything like that, because I don't think there was enough time. There was no rebuttals. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's what I took away from it is kind of the same thing you did, right? So because everybody knows I'm partisan to a point, right? But I can point out rights and wrongs and faults on both sides in this whole thing. And I found it, one, and everybody's been picking on the moderator, so I'm going to bring him up real quick. It was. It was almost like it was a trap, right? It was like a Chris Wallace was the trap door, right? And every time, and just like you said, right, Trump with having the negative press so much during the last 4 years, 3 months and 3 years and 10 months, right? That he was, he's out on that stage, and really America's really paying attention at this point, right? And him over talking Biden, or trying to talk through Biden, I should say. He wasn't talking that, he was talking through Biden, right? Like he wasn't even there. It gave Chris Wallace a chance to allow Biden to deflect certain questions he threw out there, right? So, like I said before, if Trump would have just shut his mouth and then let them do their thing, then the whole, the whole thing would have been exposed, right? I mean, because there are some moments there, as you said, right, where he did connect emotionally with the people, right? My biggest thing was both of these candidates have Black America plans, right?
Right.
Biden has the Lift Every Voice, and Trump has the Platinum Plan. When
Right.
the race issue came up, that was a fault on both of them, right? Instead of going to critical race theory and all this stuff, they should have been talking about, this is my plan for Black America. This is what we have. They had every single opportunity to bring that up, and they did not. They both gaffed on that.
You're right. And I think it has to do with how the questions were asked. It's not so much the question itself, it's how they were asked, because each candidate's going to perceive it in a different way.
Right.
I feel like Trump had a huge opportunity to go through and give his plan, because people want to hear it. They want to know what is going to happen. So,
so I want to play a clip from the debate last night, and I want to get your opinion on this particular exchange. What you thought about this exchange? Let me get it going here.
You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare. And the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
Well, if I can ask you the question, it will
not
end.
What your party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option. Number one.
Joe, you agreed with Bernie Sanders, who's far left, on the manifesto, we call it. And that gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
are you saying
I'm not going to listen?
He just lost the left.
I think the sound is gone.
Did it leave?
It did.
All right, it's all good. It's all good. We'll get back to it. That is where the audio would just leave like that. But what you remember that exchange? What did you think about that exchange?
You know, if Trump would just shut up and let him dig himself a hole. It's it. He just got to shut up and let him dig himself a hole.
I mean, I said that before.
Joe Biden blatantly lied. It says on his website that they wanted the Green New Deal and socialized medicine. Yeah, it's on his website.
Yeah, I know. It's. I feel, and I don't know how bad this will actually sway the election, but I think after that debate last night, a lot of people are not gonna go to the polls, and that's honest, right? Because I mean, from what I've heard here locally, from people that are like, they're just like, that debate was just, it wasn't even a debate, it was claw and scratch, right?
Yeah.
I gotta get my punchline in, right? The other thing too, I think Trump tried to go in there trying to get a knockout punch like Mike Tyson in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and this is a marathon. You know what I mean? This is a marathon now. You're on the back stretch of the United States marathon, right? And trying to just go for the knockout blow immediately. No, sometimes you just got to sit back, shut your mouth, right? And just listen, right? You got to listen first before you open your mouth. So
I took debate in high school, and we learned that to be quiet, because you can't hear what they're saying in order to come back to it.
Right.
And that's why it's so important for Trump to just hush, because he needs to listen to what he's saying, and then after the fact, answer it to what he's going to offer people or what he plans on doing, and then leave the debate at the end of his 2 minutes, leave with a question. For example, the whole thing with the Green New Deal and socialized plan, he should have laid out his plan, and then he could have said, I'm really confused about what Joe Biden's offering, because on his website, it says he wants socialized, and end it, because that's the end of the 2 minutes.
Right.
And it can't, exactly, because then it sends the other person into a tizzy, and they're like, oh, I got to clean up my mess.
Yeah, there is no moments of cognitive dissonance during this whole debate. There was not. It was just, two people punching back and forth. But you know what the biggest takeaway for the media was on this, and I can see how it was perceived, right? But the whole white supremacy thing, right? I mean, every time we turn around, like this boogeyman, as I like to call it, this white supremacy, comes up with Donald Trump. Every time, why don't you denounce them? Why don't you denounce it? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, he did it more than once. Why do you want him to do it again? Is it you're trying to, still trying to pin this on him after what, 2 years? Because we're 2 years removed from Charlottesville, and we're still trying to pin this on this guy. I mean, common sense has to be common sense. The guy has said it. You think the guy's going to change his position 6 months later on white supremacy? I mean, hell, the other side hasn't changed their position on Antifa yet. They're not even an organization, according to Joe Biden.
Yeah, but they know that Trump has a huge ego, a small fuse. So they're going to play this game, and he knows they're going to. He needs to play their game.
Yeah.
You sit there, you listen to the question, and it doesn't matter what it's about. And then what you do is you answer it. I address this this time. I condemned it this time. I announced that these groups were terrorists, and right. I'm pushing for that to be finalized. He needs to play into their game. But instead, he let their questions get to his head because that's what they've been bashing him on for the last almost 4 years now. Mm-hmm. And he fell into the trap. I mean,
I mean, I'm like this. When are we going to actually get over? And I don't want to get into a whole conversation about white supremacy because we've had that conversation before online, and you already know where my stance is on the white supremacy and how it's played out. But you know, folks that claim they recognize the dog whistle seems to find the dog whistle. You know, you know, and it's like you would only know what that dog whistle of white supremacy is if you knew or blew the dog whistle before.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, that's an indictment on them for not, bringing that up. You know, again, the whole Antifa thing, you know, it's like, well, they're not an organization, but yet we see online Rose City Antifa, Atlanta anti-fascist. We see all this stuff online, but they're not an organization. It's one person that's Antifa. That's not an organization.
It's just in your head, Rod. It's just an idea.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? But it's just, you know, this whole. How do I put this? This whole thing is circled around this critical race theory BS.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it was created to drive division, right? In many different ways, down political lines, down race lines, down ideological lines. I mean, I have never seen an America so split in my 45 years on this earth. I really haven't. I mean, people, you know, have the ability to call right from wrong, right?
Yeah.
When you have the ability to say, hey, you shouldn't be going around shooting people of opposite political ideology or affiliation because you don't like them. No one has said that at all, period. Zero. Yeah. Still silent. But let the damn Proud Boys show up somewhere and say, oh my God, they're coming here to incite violence. And I'm like, well, I mean, we see the videos. We're not dumb. We see the citizen journalists on the ground showing video of this stuff.
Yeah.
But yet we still get the denial of the truth in our face. Oh, it's not true. It's not there.
Right.
You know, and it's like, when did we get to a point in America where we can't all agree what's wrong is wrong, what's right is right?
Yeah.
So I'm asking one more thing. We're gonna take this thing on out of here. Next presidential debate. Are you watching it? Or
I am watching it.
Oh, you are watching it.
I'm gonna watch it.
Okay. What? And if you could send a message to both candidates, what would your message be to those candidates?
For Joe Biden, stop lying. I mean, just be honest. If you're going to support something, support it. I mean, you got to be behind it 100%. You can't be wishy-washy. For Trump, shut up, listen to the question, and answer the question. Stop making darts or worthless punches at the punching bag, if you will, and just answer the question and play into their game. That's the only thing. People watching this want to know what they are going to get from their presidency. And if you're not delivering that, then, I mean, we might as well not be watching it.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I mean, this is the time again, you kind of echoed what what I'm saying about the whole thing. Show us what you're working with. You know what I'm saying? Show us what you got. Forget about the Hunter Biden thing and forget about all that, right? Let the Senate and all of them take care of that. Let them handle that. Your job, Mr. Trump, is to tell us what your second term is going to be. That's your only job right now. Tell us what you're doing. And Joe Biden, if you want to take Trump's seat, you need to come with the funk and convince people to vote for you, right? And I know people are going to jump on here and be like, "Oh yeah, people are siding whatever." But this is not a picking a side deal. This is the fate of our country, right? Yeah. Regardless of what's happened, what are you going to offer us as Americans? What are you going to do for us as Americans?
Yeah, and I think that Trump has a great health plan. He has a great platinum plan for Black communities. Put it out there. Why are you waiting? Just do it. These people need to know that there's going to be help on the way. I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of about those. I mean, yes, of course, every plan is going to have kinks in it. But that's why you have to make sure you have your mayor lined up, your governor lined up. You got to make sure it's going to work down the pipeline in order to get to you. But he's got great plans. People need to know about these, and there's nothing to be ashamed about it.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. It's time we hold our politicians to their word and make them stand up for their what they're standing up for, right? And make sure they follow through, right? And that's been a problem. I only want to go back in history and count the years, right, that people have not been held accountable for what they're supposed to be doing for the people as promised, and we know Trump is kind of pulled back on some of his promises, and that's documented. We know that, right? Biden, on the other hand, all his promises went down the complete toilet, since he had been in office, period. I mean, that's a known fact too, so it's like we have to make sure we hold these people accountable for what they stand up for. And secondly, and most and foremost, the Constitution, that it's, they're reading it, interpreted correctly and not some revisionist nonsense to try to get over on the American people, so we have to hold them with that. So with that, we're gonna sign off here, guys. Miss Ashley, thank you very much for giving me the normal side view of all this, because obviously I don't want to talk to no complete political hacks about this, because they're going to be partisan, right? So normal folks that are kind of in the middle or kind of either side, or looking looking for what politicians are going to do for them if elected, et cetera. So again, I appreciate you, Miss Ashley, greatly appreciate it. And those of you out there in Periscope and and YouTube land, I forgot what other platforms I'm on right now, but I appreciate y'all also, and hopefully we'll catch y'all later on this evening with another video. Until next time, be easy, rest well, and stay blessed.